What's going on, Dolphin fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm back here today because it is Wednesday of the new week. This is the preseason week 1 for the Miami Dolphins. We had our first joint practice with the Chicago Bears today. So exciting stuff on what turned out to be, a little bit of an up and down day. There's some good, there's some bad, across the board. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. There are a few different articles that I'm going to read to you with, a bunch of information. So let's just jump right in. The first one is on Dolphins Wire by Kyle Krabs. Injury updates for key Miami Dolphins from Chicago. Rain, go away. The Miami Dolphins' first 2 joint practices with the Chicago Bears has been a long, drawn-out, complicated affair. Inclement weather forced the team to pause on practice before transitioning inside, and before long the team was back outside but considered closed for coverage purposes, meaning the rest of the practice carries on without any real-time coverage for media in attendance. A bit of a downer for Dolphins fans hoping for real-time discussion on the progress of the offensive line and Tagovailoa, perhaps, but there's already been some news reported this morning about the team that can create quite the stir by itself. Injury updates. If you're looking for a bit of sunshine peeking through the Chicago storm clouds, Dolphins head coach Brian Flores revealed this morning that first-round draft pick Jaelan Phillips will be back in action after missing the last week with a minor leg injury, which is good, and hopefully he stays healthy going forward and, can get caught back up and, get back into the swing of things, because we, not only do we need him available, but we need him to produce. Unfortunately, I say that because I hate having to put so much pressure on rookies. Same thing with Jevon Holland. Now, let's keep it real. Jevon Holland has been performing pretty well in practice. He's moved up to the first team. He's been making plays on the ball, and he did so today, which we will get to. That's some, part of the good. However, I just hate having, I just hate being in a position where we put so much on a rookie, because they're going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and there's going to be mistakes. So, but anyway, let's continue on. Phillips will need the practice time in his bid to join fellow rookie Jevon Holland in a push for a starting role on the defense. Brennan Scarlett has had a strong camp and could very easily absorb the early down reps before rotating to Phillips early in the season. But with a healthy preseason and a strong performance, Phillips may force the Dolphins' hand. But it wasn't all good news with the injury issues, as 3 of Miami's top receivers were declared out of Wednesday's performance against Chicago. Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, and Albert Wilson are all shelved for Wednesday's practice. Wilson and Parker have apparent minor tweaks. Parker's issue is reportedly a stubborn hamstring. But Fuller has not practiced since day 1 of camp, which is beginning to cause a stir and a bit of concern for his assimilation into the passing game. Now look, I know people have talked about, and I get, bringing these guys back slowly and whatever, so that way you don't aggravate injuries or re-injure. I get that, especially when it comes to, some of the vet players that you don't, have to worry about so much, that are going to be able to catch up, pretty quickly. However, at some point they do have to get into the mix and start practicing and start being involved, right? So, there's a fine line there, and you got to find the right balance. Anyway, the Dolphins will certainly not rush anyone back into action, but at some point one does begin to wonder if the revamped receiving core will be watered down by nagging issues to some of their top targets. And like I said, so, my biggest concern to this point in training camp has been the injuries, COVID situation. The COVID is at this point pretty much resolved, because everybody is back, but the injury issues, are still a bit there, and a bit more than I would like at this point in training camp. So, because, we're going to sustain injuries throughout the season, and having as many as we've had at this point is a bit worrisome, but there is actually more good news in that regard as well. So I have 2 articles that I'm going to read from Alan Pupar, which I will actually pull up for you. And then there's actually one as well from the Palm Beach Post, because I have a couple free articles right now from the Palm Beach Post. So I'm going to read one from Joe Shad as well, because I wanted to try and get as much information from today's practice as I possibly could. So let's start. Let's go ahead and put this in here. So let's start with this one from Alan Pupar. Flores' Wednesday morning Chicago takeaways. The Dolphins head coach touched on various topics before the first practice with the Bears. So let's see what he had to say. Before the Miami Dolphins headed out for their joint practice with the Chicago Bears at Halas Hall on Wednesday, head coach Brian Flores spoke to the media in the brand new press conference room. Here were the highlights. Tight end Hunter Long is day-to-day, according to Flores, and he did make the trip to Chicago. He will not, however, take part in the joint practices. So, that's actually good news overall. I know it's disappointing that he's not going to be taking part in these practices, and there's a good chance he's probably not going to even play in the preseason game at all, which, by the way, it does seem like there's a report out. I'm not going to read through it like here on the video, but there is a report out that Tua and the starters are expected to get some playing time in this first game. I think the Chicago Bears, I think Matt Nagy said that his starters are probably going to get a series or two, and I expect the same thing probably from the Dolphins, is a series or two before they pull the starters and start getting into second and third stringers. But anyway, the Hunter Long thing overall is actually good news, because even if he doesn't participate now, at least it seems as though it's not a long-term injury that will keep him out for the entire season. So the thing with him now is they're just going to have to make sure that they handle him correctly so he doesn't re-injure it or injure it worse and have it, because it, from what I can tell and from all reports, it's a knee issue. It's not so bad as to be season ending, but obviously you don't want to make it worse. Flores said every player on the active roster made the trip. That's lovely. The Dolphins will be without three prominent wide receivers at practice: Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and Albert Wilson. Flores said he enjoyed the idea of the joint practices, which gives his team a chance to work on the road in a different environment and against another team. He talks about different energy. That's obviously true, and certainly one of the positives to joint practices. Flores offers words of praise for the Dolphins support staff in helping get everything organized for a week away from South Florida. Kudos to our support staff for making this happen. Obviously, just real quick, give those guys a shout out. The training staff, all the support staff, right, that goes with an organization, the equipment crew and stuff like that, right? So, because there's a lot more that goes into, the functioning of the NFL than people realize, I think. And, they don't get enough credit, right? The unsung heroes behind the scenes and shit. So, anyway, so let's see. Let's continue on. When he's asked about objectives on a couple of occasions, Flores always comes back to fundamentals, techniques, assignments, alignment, and communication. Obviously, the most important things. As agreed with Bears coach Matt Nagy, Flores says there are rules of engagement, and they include no fighting, no cut blocks. Alrighty, Flores says he wants good competition, but also to keep everyone healthy. Obviously, that's true. Flores praises the Bears, says they have good players on all three units. The Bears have a good team. It's a great opportunity for us to practice our fundamentals, our techniques, communication against good players. Also, I don't think this is like the first day of practice where we didn't actually have a new injury, I think, too. So the injury situation is getting better. So hopefully that remains the case. Anyway, so let's see. Regarding the preseason opener, Flores says guys will play, but how much has not been finalized yet. Xavier Howard will be at practice. We will have a schedule and process to get him ready to go. He'll get more reps on a day-to-day basis. And that's exactly what I said, right? Because you can't just have an injury and then not have an injury. The NFL actually does have certain protocols and stuff, and there are ramifications for misleading information or lying about injuries and stuff like that, right? So, they're going to bring him back slowly, as I said, from that ankle injury, but he's back with the team. They signed that those contract agreement, adjustments, whatever, and so it's all good. Good news with Jalen Phillips, he'll be practicing today. Lovely. So that's the first article here from Alan Pupar. We will move on to the second one, which actually gets into his, news and notes from the actual Dolphins practice. Okay, so let's see here. Now, I'll probably, let's see. I may throw in a couple, there's at least one, thing I wanted to put out there from a tweet, on the Dolphins, Bleacher Report, community, fan stream, whatever, that I'll throw in at some point. But anyway, let's get to this and let's jump right in. Highlights, lowlights, and observations for Miami Dolphins' first of 2 joint practices with Chicago Bears at Halas Hall and Lake Forest, Illinois. Right? So they have one today and tomorrow. I wonder then do they only have 2 practices in total this week? Oh, because it's probably a practice today, a practice tomorrow, and then there'll probably be like a scrimmage or something on Friday, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, along with the players Brian Flores mentioned before practice, safety Brandon Jones also sat out the joint practice. He's obviously been nursing, I think it's an ankle. Tight end Mike Gesicki was back in action after missing a week while on the reserve COVID-19 list. Edge defender Jalen Phillips also was back at practice after missing about a week with a minor injury. Tight end Hunter Long did not practice, but he was at practice wearing his jersey and did not have anything on his left leg, which he injured in practice Sunday. So overall good news there. Cloudy conditions made it seem as though the practice was taking place at night. That was before a 1-hour lightning delay that brought everybody inside. The players eventually did another stretching session inside and did some 11-on-11 work before returning outside after 1 hour. Tight end Adam Shaheen renewed acquaintances with some members of the Bears staff. Shaheen spent 2 seasons with Chicago before the Dolphins acquired him last summer. Offensive line again had from left to right Austin Jackson, Liam Eichenberg, Michael Dieter, Robert Hunt, and Jesse Davis. Eichenberg was replaced in the later portion of practice by Solomon Kindley after a couple of bad reps. So real quick, I'm going to use this opportunity to throw. There was this one tweet that was, I don't even know who it's by or sent. Somebody like some other fan quote tweeted this, but I don't know if it's a media personnel or just some random Joe Schmo, but this person says these notes illustrate what the practice looked like. Tua is sacked on the first rep of 11-on-11 outside. Eichenberg was in his lap. Pocket collapses on Tua again. He's holding the ball too long. Tua sacked again. Series was so ugly. Tua talked to the O lineman along sideline. So that's why I said there was definitely some good and some bad today. Javon Holland actually had a good day. It seemed like it was a defensive heavy day, but that offensive line does seem to be struggling. And so, like I said, man, my second biggest issue, which is actually going to become, I think, my first biggest issue, because as of right now, the injury COVID situation is sliding down the priorities list. So I think that, I'm going to officially move that to number 2. My first biggest concern at this point is this offensive line. And look, I mean, yes, the Bears do have a, beefy front. And, we're not necessarily going to face that every week throughout the season. But I have major concerns over this offensive line. So Tua Tagovailoa had an overall pretty solid day, but he was particularly impressive in the first 11-on-11 drill when he had a nice completion down to the middle to Mac Hollins and came back later with a quick slant again to Hollins. On the other side of the indoor field, John Jenkins had a nice stick on a running play, the veteran becoming more of a factor as training camp progresses. By the way, take that person's thing, whatever, with, however you want it, right? Like, because at the end of the day, we have to see what happens in live action, when the bullets are flying and stuff. But again, I have my issues with this offensive line. But, and to add in the extra context, obviously the Dolphins have been, there have been reports and stuff out that the Dolphins are looking for help at offensive tackle. and are even willing to execute a trade. So Malcolm Brown got some snaps with the first team offense and had a couple of nice runs. He looked most impressive of any of the Dolphins running backs. On the flip side, the pass catching issues of rookie 7th round pick Garrett Dokes that we've documented continued as he dropped an easy pass from Jacoby Brissett in a 7-on-7 goal line drill. Early in that drill, 2 or 3 touchdown passes to Adam Shaheen and Hollins. So again, some good there, right? Not all bad. Who punctuated his catch in the back of the end zone with a dunk over the crossbar, as he usually does. That's become something of a tradition for him, though he might question him doing it in a joint practice. Cornerback Javaris Davis had an eventful day. He picked off rookie first-round pick Justin Fields in a 7-on-7 drill. Later had a nice pass breakup, but then was victimized on a long completion from Fields to John Vea Johnson. Davis, the cousin of former Dolphins first-round pick Vontae Davis, has had a solid camp. Right, like I said, so it seemed to be an overall defensive day with for both teams, with some up and down, some good and some bad. Jakeem Grant continued his nice training camp. He had a couple of catches in 7-on-7 and got open deep behind the Chicago defense, though Tua overthrew him. Jalen Waddle looked good. How do you overthrow Jakeem Grant? Anyway, Jalen Waddle looked good running at practice and came up with a couple of nice catches. One when he went low to make a grab, and the other that he caught behind him. Highlights of one-on-one battle between Bears defensive linemen and Dolphins offensive linemen included Jesse Davis standing up Khalil Mack, Robert Hunt completely stoning Akeem Hicks. On the flip side, Austin Jackson had a hard time with the Bears defenders. Xavier Howard's ankle injury appears to be a thing of the past. He appeared to take every rep, like I said, right? He appeared to take every rep because it wasn't a real injury. He appeared to take every rep with the first team defense on this day and had great coverage downfield on a deep attempt to Darnell Mooney. Howard had a pick during an 11-11, but it came on a play where Emmanuel Ogbah jumped off sides. Thanks, Ogbah. Anyway, Robert Foster has been more quiet in recent days after a great start to camp. Dropped a pass from Jacoby Brissett, but later came back to make a brilliant catch when he reached behind and toe tapped. I think he meant toe tap down the left sideline. Yeah. The Bears defense got good pressure on Tua in the later 11-11 drills. Rookie safety Javon Holland had a pick on a play. Man, he really didn't get into very much detail there, did he? On a play where Andrew Van Ginkel got good pressure on Andy Dalton. Jamal Perry came up with an interception, but later was deep in coverage with Nate Hawley when Justin Field threw a long touchdown pass to Johnson. Like I said, some good, some bad, right? Brissett did not have a particularly impressive practice as his accuracy seemed a bit off. There were no skirmishes in the practice. The closest thing came when Allen Hurns caught a pass from Brissett down the middle of the field, and defensive back Teez Tabor made contact with him around the head area. Hurns fell and walked right over to Tabor after getting up, drawing a crowd of players on both sides. No punches were thrown. All right, so that's it for Alan Pupar's observations. We will now take a look at what Joe Shad had to say. And then that will be all I have for you from today's practice. Let's see. So, Tua Tagovailoa, Dolphins offense experienced in-your-face Bears defense. After a lightning delay, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa experienced stiff winds and a fierce Bears defensive front during joint practice on Wednesday. Yeah, I think this defense is really good up front, Tagovailoa said. Of Chicago. When you're hitting your back foot on your throws, they're right there and kind of in your face. Tagovailoa played without injured receivers Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and Albert Wilson. Didn't get much going down the field on Wednesday. Tagovailoa did continue to appear accurate on some strong arm slants and crossers to players like Mac Hollins, Jalen Waddle, and Jakeem Grant. Obviously, it can get better, Waddle said. We'll try to get better. It was pretty good, though. Let's see. X-Men, let's see. Post travels to Chicago, Dolphins, Bears practice. That's a different article. Sorry. X-Men did Dolphins. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Those are just articles. Let's see. Before practice, Miami coach Brian Flores said he wanted Tua to keep things simple. Alignment, assignment, communication, fundamentals, Flores said. This was Tagovailoa's first ever joint practice. It's a lot more challenging to practice against unfamiliar opponents who are hell-bent on causing turmoil on every play. Right? And that's why I'm saying, right? And so that's why things ramp up. You get a clearer and clearer picture as we go through the preseason and actually get to the regular season. Because even like I'm super excited about this first preseason game, especially since it's going to be Dolphins football. but you're only going to see, probably a couple series out of the starters. So they're not going to be out there for too long, etc., etc. Let's see. That forces us as quarterbacks to kind of move the way we need to. Tagovailoa said it simulates game-like pocket presence for us. I thought it was really good today. We'll take a look at the film. We'll try to correct a lot of the things that we didn't do well today. On both sides of the ball, Chicago and Miami's defensive lines seemed to get the better of their opposition, or their opposite offensive lines. Like I said, it seemed to be a defensive-heavy day. At one point in practice, rookie left guard Liam Eichenberg was replaced by Solomon Kindley. So, that's not good for Eichenberg. I suppose you could say that's good for Kindley, although, we'll see, right? Because it apparently was out of necessity, in a sense, right? And the reason why I quote, because if it was the regular season and he was playing bad, he would get benched for performance, right? So, a move out of necessity. So, we'll see how that, we'll see, man. We'll see. It'll be really interesting to find out who the starting five is on Saturday, though. Tagovailoa should benefit from having spent all spring and summer practicing with his teammates, something that was not possible in 2020. Tagovailoa should benefit from these joint practices as well as playing in Saturday's preseason opener. Yeah, obviously, right? Last year was a little weird for everyone, but competing with your guys and not being introduced to what a game-like scenario would feel like, Tua said. Earlier this week, Dolphins co-offensive coordinator George Gotti said building a plan that best suits Tua's strengths is an ongoing process. I think right now there's some parts of our offense that we're checking to see if that's something sustainable or if we need to do something to improve on to help Tua, to help the offense out, Gotti said. Here are a few other practice observations. Among players who saw first-team reps, Malcolm Brown, running back Malcolm Brown, defensive line Christian Wilkins. So good to see him move up, right? Because he obviously has a lot to prove. Look, I'm at this point with Christian Wilkins, I mean, his rookie deal is obviously not up, and I usually say you got to give players their, and to be fair, he does still have another year or two on that rookie deal. And so there is still some time, but I think that we may have seen Christian Wilkins' ceiling already. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he can take a step forward, but, until he does, we shall see. Javon Holland and Jamal Perry recorded interceptions. Shaquem Griffin recorded a sack. Tight end Hunter Long was present and walking around well. Long, who suffered an apparent leg injury on Sunday, did not wear a brace or sleeve. Flores deemed him day-to-day, though Flores has conceded that when he says day-to-day, it does not eliminate the possibility the player is also week-to-week. Interesting. I mean, okay. Again, that goes back to me being like, bro, just fucking tell us what the deal is, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, the Post reported on Tuesday that Long's injury is not believed to be season-ending. Xavier Howard played a decent number of snaps. Howard had an interception, but it was taken away by a penalty, and that's really all he had. So, actually not really all that much in there, but it is what it is. Anyway, so that's really about all I've got, though, because unfortunately I would, share with you, articles on Miami Herald and Sun Sentinel. But unfortunately, right now, I don't have any more free articles available to me, and I'm a poor son of a bitch, so I can't afford the subscriptions. But it is what it is. I do my best. I try my hardest. And look, hey, I hope that one day I can, get my channel to finally reach that lofty, 1,000 subscriber mark. Look, I would love to, at the end of the day, I would love to be able to do more for you guys and, produce a better overall show, right? Like, I would like to have a better intro and all of that stuff and a better overall product when it comes to the production value and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, I just don't have the resources available to me to either, get the required equipment, the hardware, the software that I need. Unfortunately, I live in a tiny makeshift bedroom in my father's living room in his small condo, right? So I don't have a designated space that I can turn into a nice Dolphins, room like Doug and TD have. I don't, unfortunately have the resources to get the proper equipment and stuff as it stands. So You know, I do my best, and I try to put out as good a quality product as I can. But hopefully, you know, hopefully one day, and hopefully in the not so distant future, I can get, you know, my channel to the point where I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark and finally monetize my channel and bring in some extra cash and whatnot, and then start doing more things for you guys. When I do hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I will probably make a Patreon and, you know, really get going, you know, harder into it like it's actually my job, because then it will at that point be, you know, a revenue stream. So I'm hoping to get there, and I do, you know, I say this in part because I have had a bunch of recent subscribers, you know, and I really appreciate you guys for that. Everybody, all the new subscribers, I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to me for a while. I know that, you know, I have takes and evaluations that aren't very widely popular, you know, but I think I've proven that, you know, I care about the facts and the data, and if I'm wrong, I'm happy to say that I'm wrong and, you know, re-evaluate and so on and so forth, right? And so, but I've also proven to be, you know, pretty good at my overall evaluations. And so, you know, I hope people appreciate that and, you know, continue to help me grow, because, yeah, I mean, look, you know, I'm going to keep it real for, well, I always keep it real, but, you know, on a personal note here, and this, you know, just to kind of end this video, you know, look, my life's always been rough. I've always been poor and never really had a lot, never had a support system, really, never had resources or things available to me, opportunities and stuff. And so my life has always been a struggle. And obviously these days are even harder than ever, right? Not just for me, but for everybody, obviously. And so, you know, I'm doing my best. But for me, you know, ideally, there would be nothing better than being able to finally get this channel to, you know, the point of monetization, so that way I can turn it into more of a job, right? Like that would be perfect for me, and you know, everything that I want to do and how I view the world and life and my future and so on and so forth. It would just be wonderful. And then and it's because also it's something that I really enjoy doing. And, you know, at that point too, I would then be able to improve on the channel even more and do more for you guys, right? For the viewers, and improve upon the production quality and so on and so forth. Heck, maybe even eventually get to the point where I can get out of my fucking pop's house, and get my own place again, because I miss having my own fucking place. And then, you know, maybe I'd be able to designate a little area for my channel, so that way I can, you know, Dolphins it up and make it, you know, all cool like TD and Doug have it. And so you don't have to sit back and fucking look at my goddamn makeshift closet and shelf space back there, right? So these, like, my room is made out of freestanding walls made out of fucking 2x4s and, like, you know, plywood fucking panels and shit. So it is what it is. I mean, I'm proud of it, because I did, you know, I made a cool little bedroom out of, you know, very little, but at the same time, it sucks being fucking poor all the time and whatever. So, and I, like I said, and it sucks not being able to put out a really high quality product. So anyway, enough of my soapbox and enough of my, you know, life woes or whatever. I am going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope people do appreciate my perspective. And so if you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.